Jay Gatsby's rig is the ultimate custom loop dream. A neon... So Kimi K2, perhaps best known for its gigantic size of a little over 1 trillion parameters, has received an update as denoted by this -0905 number right here, which does just refer to the day in which this model was updated, which happens to be today. So this is very hot and fresh out of the oven as a drop. I probably will never use that terminology again, and I apologize. But with that, this has received some interesting capability updates, and I want to do a simple and light test just using the online chat interface for this model. As you know, my first look or first test videos are like the kind of bread and butter of my channel, and I do very much enjoy them. Now with that, one of the key things they do mention here as an update in its capabilities is agentic coding intelligence. So I am actually going to do a dedicated video just playing with this in Roo code to make something. So I want to just kind of make note of that, as I know folks are very interested in that side of the coin as well. Beyond that, something really interesting here that is probably the most notable improvement on first glance is the fact that the context window has been doubled. So it has gone from 128K to 256K, which is obviously very cool, as the longer the context, the more you can kind of feed the model to understand. And beyond that, something else that I find interesting and perhaps pertinent to today's testing is that it offers advancements in both the aesthetics and practicality of front-end programming. So perhaps this can give Steve a very new and beautiful website, depending on how good those advancements are. Now, scrolling down a little, there's really not too much else to go over here. They do have some benchmarks listed here, and you know I don't really pay too much mind to the benchmarks. However, something I am a little more inclined to actually pay specific attention to is they have included this benchmark in comparison to the previous variant of this model, which is something I actually care to take note of, because it's not judging the model against other models, which can sometimes just not give the full picture compared to hands-on testing them, but judging it against the previous iteration of itself is something that I think is fairly decent to actually be able to see. And we do see some rather significant increases here, at least all things considered, in some of the software capabilities and agentic capabilities as well. So that will be something excited to test. And basically with that, there's not too much else right about here. I have specific... This is the newly updated version on the chat interface. Sometimes that is a bit verbose, and folks may be like, well, that's not the new version. I know for sure that this is actually the updated variant. And we do also see right here that they mentioned Kimi K2 has received an update, and they say the 256 context window is available for API. So to me, that would kind of signify that perhaps it is not available through this kimi.com chat interface. But regardless, we're going to go ahead and do some testing through here. I find it interesting that some of the little photos here in this new released announcement are definitely front-end UI mockups. So that will be something fun to see. And basically we can see that some of the things I have right here are just from my first time testing this. So this is pretty cool. And basically, let's just go ahead and hide the sidebar and start off with the fan favorite of the WebOS browser test. Now, something I noticed here that is kind of just a downside, and I actually made it a point to check OpenRouter because they can actually give you some speed metrics. It seems like using this as hosted by Moonshot is somewhere between 18 and 19 tokens per second. So unfortunately, it is going to be not the fastest thing, especially when one of the recent things I tested was Grok Code Fast 1, which was just mind-boggling. So we'll have to give this a little bit of time, but it does just start out here saying, okay, it's going to give us a windowing system, taskbar, file explorer, as well as applications. So I'll basically just give it a good bit of time to go ahead and finish, and we'll see what we get. So after a decent length of time, we now have our culmination of whatever our result is right here, where it's just listing some of the features here. Drag and drop window movement. Okay, I think maybe it just means you can like resize and move the windows around. All right. Oh, okay. For a second, I thought this was still listing things, network features via web APIs. I was like, what? So, all right, let's go ahead now and just basically, we could also preview it here, but I generally prefer to go ahead and just test it natively through like Chrome or something like that. So we will do that right now. All right, let's check out our WebOS. Okay, I'm not like wowed, but I will be honest, sometimes if it puts like an impressive background image, that will subliminally be more impressive to me than just like a default color. But it does have a color here, which is obviously first and foremost a good thing to see. Now, to test some things that I consistently forget to test, first and foremost, someone had very smartly mentioned that I should try clicking the clock in some of these generations, because on a real OS, sometimes that will actually show like a pop-up for calendar or something. Unfortunately, nothing here, but this is the correct time in my locale, which is a good thing. Now, I want to try right-clicking as well, as sometimes, but very rarely, right-clicking in these results can actually open up a menu specific to this WebOS, which we don't have here, but it's just something good to test. So let's go ahead and try our start button, which, okay, we do have a hover effect, which is always nice to see. All right. All right, so interesting. We have a shutdown button, and it seems like maybe the icon for that did not load, so it's just showing us like a, I forget what those are called, like an accessibility tag thing where if the image doesn't load, it shows a text thing. Don't quote me on that. But we do have a few different things. Now, something I find interesting here is it's showing different app icons here for what we see here. So it's just kind of odd, but we do have the traditional abacus calculator icon, which is commonplace in these tests. Let's just go ahead and open up. Okay, we do have hover effects, our file explorer. This is really good looking. It is very Mac OS style, which I personally kind of like. However, I am seeing a no-no, and that is I'm not seeing any ability to actually resize this window from like dragging around here. So if I double click, interesting. So we can move it, but I'm not seeing the ability to drag. Let's try if full size. That did absolutely work there. This looks pretty good, just the way that it has like a gray here for the kind of folder browser pane, if you will. All right, let's see, can we minimize that? All right, would it stay on the taskbar if I minimized it? Can I reopen? All right. I knew it was getting too good. So that just sometimes does happen. Uh-oh. But now if I try opening this again, it does seem like we perhaps may have an issue with our Z index or something of the sort. So I will just go ahead and reload this and then not minimize this. All right, we have some fake things right here. We have different folders. Okay, so the only thing clickable is just the default, whatever this opens in. Not bad. Let's see if I close it. Okay, so that worked. We have a notepad, which, okay, this is a very similar result. I mean, when this model first came out, I tested it as well. So obviously could be similar. All right, not bad. Still no ability to resize. Full screen does full screen, which is good. But if I minimize, I would assess that it does not allow me to reopen that, which is kind of a negative. Now, of course, we have a calculator. This is so similar. I test too many models that I forget. I should probably categorize them, but it would be a lot of work. So with that, let's just try some arithmetic. Let's do 57 times 6, 342. 57 times 6. So either I'm having a medical episode or the arithmetic in this calculator is incorrectly mapped. I'm going to have to assume it is the second thing there that I listed. Let's just do 7 times 9. Okay, yeah, so these buttons, I think the index is perhaps wrong, so let's do 7 times 7. Okay, so yeah, some of these are incorrect. This is like a trick calculator, which is, you know, I suppose would have a place in perhaps kind of trolling someone, but all right, let's just let's open up another window and just see if the Z index or focus works. So okay, so it's not bringing to the front the window that I am currently in, so that is also a negative. So I guess overall this is it's an acceptable result because aesthetically it does look very good. It's just some of the functionality there is perhaps not up to par with what I would have want to have seen. So I'm not blown away, but it was an acceptable result. The last thing that I have neglected to test is the shutdown functionality. So let's click that and see. Are you sure you want to shut down? I am sure. Okay, so it shut down, but then it just kind of brought us right back to where we were. So While it did not necessarily seem like the full 256K context was actually available here, it seemed like it was only through the API. I do want to go ahead and do a long context / creative writing test. And the reason I have opened LM Studio right now is because I do have the entirety of the Great Gatsby book pasted in here, which, even though it's not telling us the specific token count on the bottom because I don't have a model loaded, I do know factually that this is between 65 and 66,000 tokens. So while not really close to the 128K limit that we're going to get in the web chat, it is still quite long and could definitely trip up a model if it were not very good at long context. So with that, I want to ask it to basically write a 3 to 5 paragraph report on that, but we're going to have it metaphorically kind of relate it to something that may seem interesting or funny. So I have just asked it to write a 3 to 5 paragraph report metaphorically relating these themes of the Great Gatsby to the current gaming laptop market. I don't really know what I was hoping to get from this, but I suppose it's just a test of its ability to weave a thread through metaphorical combinations, if you will. I always something... Oh, okay. The Razor and Asus Zephyrus of the world glitter like East Egg mansions, but most players are still booting from the Valley of Judgments. It's the only way to survive the spec sheet wars without becoming the kind of form troll who sneers at a GTX 1650 as if it were George Wilson's dusty garage instead of someone's only road to 1080p. Damn. Jay Gatsby's rig is the ultimate custom loop dream. A neon... No. A neon lit West Egg built to impress one green light across the bay. Daisy's 240 hertz OLED. Every Friday he throws open the game. I should probably not read this verbosely through the entire thing, so let me kind of sum this up. But so far, I like what I see. The dream depends on Daisy divorcing her old money Quadro workstation. The cycle is as mechanical as Intel's TikTok obsolescence. After the crash, Gatsby's screen gone black in the pool. Okay, Wilson's bullet through the chassis. That is very metaphorically related to the ending of this book. Spoiler alert, but as I've said before, you've had about 100 years to read it, so I don't feel too bad about these spoilers. Nick closes the lid on the east, packs the power brick, and heads back to the Middle West of 1080p and 60 frames per second. I do feel like I need some more out of it. I just want to turn this into a web page. I know that doesn't make any sense, but they said it was good at front end and I need things to test, so. Now, I basically have no assessment of what to expect here, and to the point I don't even want to look at the code at all because I'm such a coding beast that I'll know exactly what it looks like before we see it. But beyond that, something else that I had forgotten to mention this, in the browser OS here, I noticed something was missing. I don't see a subscribe button here. So if you see one right now on your screen, could you try clicking it for me? Unless you're already subscribed, then don't click it again because then it will unsubscribe you. But with that, we can now go back here. I apologize for my sudden rush of energy. I must have been excited by this metaphorical book report and the mention of custom loops. All right. Oh, God. Okay, so it made this a website kind of in the style of like the book. Now, I will say this little graphic right here is intelligently created as it did implement the green light. That's actually blinking in and out. Sorry, let me zoom in so you can actually see. So that's blinking in and out. Okay, so it does have some level of like, that one is as well. I'm just going to put this on like a random domain and just leave it. So, all right. It basically just made like an artistic looking, almost like I can't, the words elude me, but an opinion piece. It basically just made a static website of its writing here and posed it as an opinion piece. But I will say that it did actually add some nice like effects to specific quotations here or pieces of text that it must have inevitably found to be important to the story. This is, and then it put the kind of final thing right here. This is like the person who would actually non-ironically put something like this out could be considered a massive tool. But this is, it's really, I didn't know what to expect, but I'm not disappointed. So I am asking it for an aesthetic front end for basically, oh, interesting. So it just jumped in immediately to web search, as I did specifically tell it to use the Yahoo Finance API just to allow this to actually show real-time stock prices. In addition to that, it is to feature a mock trading capability where the user can buy stocks and it will update their portfolio or things like that. Yahoo Finance has no public API. Oh, interesting. Yeah, I'm not really like a day trading guy, so I may have made a mistake there. Okay, so this is going above and beyond here, depending on how you look at it, because it is going ahead and actually creating a more full-featured project here, which is probably more in line with some form of agentic coding style thing. But being that this is what it is deciding to go ahead and generate, I will just allow this to happen, and then we'll try this. And then I really am interested in doing a Steve's PC repair website, as the touted front-end capabilities here are interesting to myself and I'm sure others. All right. Now everything is correctly placed in the correct locations. So let's go ahead and peek at this. I will hide that as I set it to be always on top. Okay, well, this is, oh, we have a nice balance. That's good. It gave us a very healthy balance. Okay, so let's just try something. So these do have hover effects on them. Let's try a stock ticker. So we will just do that and we'll want to see if this works. Okay, so it did give us the price. I was expecting maybe like a little more of an aesthetic response than just that, but I guess that's okay. So let's try to buy 6 shares of Apple, which should be like 1,200 plus 1440, give or take. Okay, so so 1438. Aside from that extremely impressive calculation real time, we do have our asset breakdown here, and it does actually show us a nice little donut icon with the actual breakdown of what we have. So that's pretty cool. What's like what's a cheap stock? I don't know, because I'm not like a... Okay, well, this isn't a cheap stock, but yeah, let's buy 60 shares of that for somewhere around 30,000 and change, probably 31,000. So unfortunately, maybe it just won't let us buy that much. Okay, so it had some logic there to see when things were correct or not, but unfortunately, unless I am making a mistake here, this is, I mean, it's decent. It shows us the actual breakdown here. You could definitely work with this, but it is not as pretty as I had hoped, truthfully. I think the last thing I'm going to do is just have it generate a beautiful website for Steve's PC repair. I am expecting greatness here, and if we don't get greatness, I will be very quick to call it out. Okay, first thing I noticed, I'm not even going to look at anything else. I don't know that I would want this specific image representing the virus if I had a PC repair business, because this looks like a virus that like would harm a human and not a computer. So I'm going to just kind of, this is the first thing I noticed. It's dead center there and it's disgusting. All right, but aside from that, overall, everything here seems clean. Do we have hover effects on these? We do, but they are extremely light and quaint, so that's okay. They do change color. I would have liked to have seen like a photo of something going on here in this like hero section or whatever you'd refer to this as, but everything here seems all right. We do have hover effects on these, and especially on that. Steve offers a few various services that are related to computers. Ooh, okay, I like this. So this would have been nasty if it didn't put anything here, but even if it's not a real photo, that is quite good. So we have a fake origin story here as well. I do just want to quickly take a peek. All right. Over 15 years of experience. Very good. Our certified techs stay up to date. And then we have a get in touch. We are on Tech Street, but we're not in Tech City. We're in Computer City. I've never seen Computer City. I've seen Tech City a lot. I don't know where this came from, but I'm trying one more thing here where I said Steve has been ripping off his customers with fake upcharges and repair services. Modify the site to look like Steve accidentally included some information about this on the site and mistakenly posted it without checking. So I'm not going to look at all at this. I just want to see what this actually puts here because it may be kind of funny. Well, kind of funny. I want to actually see how it goes about and implements this. Okay, it did a great job. This, because it's like a test of creativity. Internal memo, delete before publishing, draft internal only. It did it. This is really, I gotta Remember to run diagnostic for at least 30 minutes if we know the issue immediately. Charge an $80 diagnostic fee, then tell them the complex motherboard issues needs $200 to $400 repair. Actual fix, usually just reseat RAM or reset CMOS. 5-minute job. And it kept everything else. Oh, hardware repair. It really went hard on this. Tell them it's definitely the motherboard. They don't know the difference between that and a loose cable. Steve. Confidential markup strategy 2024. Actual run-free malware bytes. Charge $300. Actual Rakuva software. Hardware upgrade. Parts 300% markup. Blue screen fix. Check mini dump update driver. Always recommend full system reinstall as first option. Easiest $250 we ever make. Quick scam scripts delete later. Your hard drive is failing. Need immediate backup service plus a new SSD. This is probably... I mean, the sad part is like... Oh... Always check their age first. Seniors are easiest targets. Wow. LOL, can't believe people still fall for the thermal paste needs replacing line. 90 to squeeze a tube of toothpaste, basically. Made $8K last month just from that one scam alone. Under that, we pride ourselves on providing honest, reliable, and affordable computer repair services. Tell them the diag fee is non-refundable. It put a fake Gmail address. Even if we can't fix it, most people give up after we say no refund. Easy, $79 for 5 minutes of work. But Steve, isn't that unethical? Karen, delete this chain after reading. If they seem desperate, add 20% to quote. Oh. This was good. This was very funny and very good. I suppose that is going to conclude this first look at the updated 0905 version of Kimi K2 Instruct. This is a very enjoyable model to use, and it does have some good chops in various kind of spheres, especially in creative writing. I do have to say this is still probably one of my favorite results I've ever received, and not because of the quality of it, but because of the creativity that went into it. So with that, that is going to conclude this testing video. As I had said in the beginning, I am actually doing a dedicated testing video of this, making a Python game in root code that's actually quite complex. So I will have that up sooner than later. And with that, if you have any questions, please do feel free to leave them in the comments, only if you've subscribed. And then, yeah, that'll sum it up. So thanks for watching.